11 o'clock at night. I left work early, planning to surprise my wife. The moment I pushed open the bedroom door, the two entangled figures on our bed made my world collapse. 3 years of marriage, and it turned out I'd been performing a one-man show the whole time. I stood frozen in the doorway, the bouquet of roses I was holding slipping from my hand and scattering on the floor. On the bed, Sophia and Mark Johnson hadn't noticed me yet. They were too lost in each other. The scene was so real it felt like a knife carving at my heart. 3 years. For 3 whole years, I thought we were a happy couple. Sophia was always saying I worked too much, that I never had enough time for her. That's why I'd canceled on a major client today, just to come home and be with her. I never expected this would be the scene waiting for me. I backed out of the room silently, closing the door behind me, and sank onto the living room couch. My mind was a chaotic blank, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. About half an hour later, I heard Mark's voice from the bedroom. "Soph, your husband isn't coming home tonight, right?" "Him? He'll be stuck at the office until late." "Don't worry." Sophia's voice was light, casual, as if I were a stranger. "Good. Then I'm not leaving. I'll stay with you tonight." "You're terrible," she giggled. "But I like it." Every word was a needle piercing my heart. So that's all I was to her, a workhorse, a tool. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo app, and slid it near the crack under the bedroom door. "If you're going to play dirty, so can I?" An hour later, Mark emerged from the bedroom. He saw me sitting on the couch and froze. Leo, he stammered, his voice trembling. "Hey, Mark," I said, my voice unnervingly calm as I looked at him. "It's late. Aren't you heading home?" Mark was a sales manager at my firm. At the office, he was always respectful, calling me by my first name with a hint of deference. I never thought he was sleeping with my wife behind my back. I was. He couldn't form a sentence. Just then, Sophia walked out of the bedroom. Her face went white when she saw me. "Honey, when did you get home?" she asked, forcing a calm she didn't feel. "Just now." I stood up. "Mark looks like he's not feeling well. Should I give him a ride?" No, I can go myself," Mark said, frantically pulling on his shoes and scrambling for the door. Before he left, he shot a look at Sophia, a mix of apology and longing. After the door clicked shut, the silence in the apartment was deafening. "Leo," she started, trying to come up with an explanation. "I'm tired. Let's just go to sleep," I said, walking straight into the bedroom. The sheets were a mess, still holding the faint, foreign scent of him. I grabbed a blanket and headed back to the couch. Sophia followed me. "Leo, did you misunderstand something? Mark was just here to talk about work." "Yeah, I know," I said, closing my eyes. "I have to be up early tomorrow. Let's get some rest." She wanted to say more, but seeing my resolve, she finally gave up and went back to the bedroom. I didn't sleep a wink that night. The image from the bedroom played on a loop in my head. 3 years of my life, 3 years of devotion, all a joke. But I wasn't going to let this go. The next day at the office, I acted completely normal. I greeted Mark, sat in meetings with him, even had lunch at the same table. He was a nervous wreck, constantly sneaking glances at me, trying to read my expression. "Leo, about last night." He tried to explain during a coffee break. "What about it?" I feigned ignorance. "You know, me being at your place." "Oh, that? What's the big deal? You're a manager at the firm. Stopping by to talk shop is perfectly normal," I said with a smile, patting his shoulder. "You're overthinking it." His anxiety only grew. He must have thought I was playing dumb, waiting for the perfect moment to get my revenge. He was right. That afternoon, I went to see the company's legal counsel, Mr. Davis. "Leo, what can I do for you?" Davis and I were on good terms. "Hypothetically," I began, "if a person cheats on their spouse, how are the assets divided in a divorce?" Davis paused for a second. "You mean hypothetically?" "Yes, hypothetically." "Well, if there's concrete evidence of adultery, the at-fault party may receive a smaller share of the marital assets, or even none at all, depending on the state. The key is having proof. What kind of proof is considered valid? Recordings, photos, text messages, all of it can work. But you have to make sure it's obtained legally." "Thanks, Mr. Davis," I said, nodding. When I got home, Sophia was in the kitchen, cooking. She seemed tense. "Honey, how was work today?" she asked, trying to break the ice. "It was fine," I said, sitting down at the dinner table. "By the way, Mark asked me today if he disturbed us last night." The spatula nearly fell from her hand. What did he say?" "Nothing much. Just that he felt it was inappropriate to come over so late to talk business." I told him it was no big deal. You two were college friends, after all. It's normal to be close. Sophia's face grew even paler. It was true, they were college classmates, but I had never once encouraged them to stay in close contact. "Leo, are you..." "Am I what?" I stared at her. Nothing, she said, turning back to the stove. Throughout dinner, Sophia was distracted, on edge. She started to say something several times, but always stopped herself. I knew she was scared, worried I'd found out the truth. But I wasn't going to lay my cards on the table yet. I wanted her to trip herself up. That evening, I made a point of not working, suggesting we watch a movie together. Sophia was clearly agitated, constantly tapping on her phone. From the corner of my eye, I saw she was texting someone named him. The message read, "He knows something? Don't come over tonight." The reply came a moment later. "Want me to talk to him?" Sophia typed back, "No, let's just wait and see." So, they were still trying to keep me in the dark. Fine, I'd give them plenty of rope. The next day, I said to her, "Hey, I have to work on a big project this weekend. I'll probably have to stay at the office." Sophia's eyes lit up. "Oh, well, make sure you take care of yourself." "I will. You be safe at home by yourself, okay?" She nodded eagerly, a flicker of excitement she couldn't quite hide. I laughed to myself. She really thought I was clueless. Saturday night, I didn't go to the office. I went to a coffee shop across the street from our apartment building, where I had a clear view of our floor from the window. At 8 p.m., Mark's car pulled into the parking lot. At 9:30, the lights in our living room went out, and the bedroom light came on. At 11, the bedroom light went out, too. I took out my phone and sent Sophia a text. "Hey, babe, looks like an all-nighter for me. Go to sleep. Don't wait up." She replied almost instantly. "Okay, honey. Don't work too hard. Love you." The irony was suffocating. She was in my bed with my colleague, texting me platitudes. At 2 in the morning, I slipped back into our building. I used my key to open the door as quietly as I could. The apartment was silent. I tiptoed to the bedroom door and heard the sound of steady breathing from within. I pulled out my phone, eased the door open just a crack, and took several pictures of the two of them in my bed. The light was dim, but it was unmistakably Sophia and Mark. After getting the photos, I retreated, spending the rest of the night on the living room couch. At 6 a.m., I intentionally made some noise, then called out, "I'm home." A frantic shuffling sound came from the bedroom. A few minutes later, Sophia emerged in her pajamas. "Honey, you're back so early." "Yeah, we finished the project ahead of schedule." I looked at her slightly swollen lips. "You look pale. Didn't you sleep well?" "I think I left the AC on too low. Might be catching a cold." Just then, a soft thud came from the bedroom. Sophia's face instantly drained of color. "What was that noise?" I asked innocently. "Probably just the wind. I must have left a window open," she said with a forced smile. "I'll go check." I started walking toward the bedroom. "Don't," she yelped, blocking my way. "I'll close it." She darted into the bedroom and shut the door behind her. She didn't come out for another 10 minutes, and when she did, she looked flustered. "Honey, I'll make breakfast." "Don't bother. Already ate," I said from the couch. "You go get ready. I'm just going to watch some TV." The second she was in the bathroom, I walked out to the balcony and looked down. Sure enough, Mark was scurrying out of the fire escape stairwell, jumping into his car, and speeding away. Did they really think I was that blind? Over the next few days, I started probing. "Honey, you and Mark seem to be pretty good friends. Do you guys talk often?" "Not really. Just for work stuff sometimes." "What do you think of him? Is he a reliable guy?" Sophia grew nervous. "Why are you suddenly asking this?" "No reason. It's just, he's been acting a little weird lately. Seems to avoid me whenever he can." "Maybe he's just stressed from work." "Maybe," I nodded. "By the way, my department's having a team dinner next week. You should come." "Oh, I don't think so. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to go to your work thing. Mark will be there. You two are old college friends. It'd be a good chance to catch up." Her chopsticks nearly slipped from her fingers. I can't. I have something that day." I watched her face, my suspicions hardening into certainty. This was no simple friendship. That night, using the excuse of going to the bathroom, I glanced at her phone. She deleted all her recent chats with Mark. She deleted the iMessage history, but she couldn't delete the call logs. I saw she and Mark had called each other over 80 times this month, the longest call lasting 2 hours. Meanwhile, her total call time with me for any given day was less than 10 minutes. This was my loving wife, my supportive partner. I documented everything, gathering my evidence. Now that I had enough, it was time for the next step. I started formulating a detailed plan of attack. First, I needed to let them know I was onto them, but without a direct confrontation. I wanted them to panic. Second, I had to secure my finances to ensure I came out of the divorce with what was mine. Finally, I was going to make Mark Johnson pay for what he did. On Monday, I casually struck up a conversation with him at the office. "Hey, Mark, how's it going? You're not looking so hot." Mark was visibly on edge. I'm fine, Leo. "Work stress getting to you? I can talk to management. Maybe get you moved to a less demanding project. No, that's not necessary. I can handle it. All right then, I said, clapping him on the shoulder. By the way, I heard a rumor the company's looking to replace some of the sales managers. Any truth to that? The color drained from his face. Replace. Sales managers. Just something I heard. Don't know the details. But your numbers have always been solid, so you should be fine. Of course, it was a complete lie, designed only to make him sweat. It worked. For the rest of the week, Mark was distracted and on edge, and his performance plummeted. I also noticed he and Sophia were texting each other more frantically than ever. This was exactly what I wanted. People make mistakes when they're under pressure. At the same time, I began quietly organizing our assets. We'd been married 3 years. I bought our house before the wedding, but the renovations and furniture were purchased after, making them marital property. Most of our savings were in my name, but Sophia had her own account. We also had some stocks and investments, nothing huge. I made a detailed list of everything and started moving some of the more significant assets to a secure account. This wasn't about greed. It was about protecting what I had earned. Sophia had betrayed me. Why should she walk away with half of my life's work? Thursday evening, I tried a new tactic with her. Honey, I've been thinking about looking for a new job. What do you think? Sophia looked up surprised. A new job? Why the sudden change? The office politics are getting too intense. I'm tired of it, I said vaguely, wanting her to think I was running away from something I discovered. The whole environment just feels oppressive. So, where would you want to work? Not sure yet. Maybe move out of state, try something new. A flicker of joy crossed her eyes before she masked it. If that's what you really want, I support you. But moving out of state. What's wrong? You don't want to leave Denver. It's not that. It's just, a new city can be a big adjustment. So, you're saying you wouldn't want to come with me? Sophia hesitated. Of course I'd go with you, if that's what you decided. But her tone was hollow. I knew then that she had no intention of leaving. She wanted to stay here with Mark. You know what? Let's just forget it for now, I said, backtracking. I've been here for so long, it'd be hard to leave. She visibly relaxed. Yeah, stability is important. Stability? A woman cheating on her husband was talking to me about stability? That night, I told her I was going out to run an errand. In reality, I met with a private investigator. Mr. Harris, based on what you've told me, this is a pretty standard case for us. The PI, a sharp-looking guy named Rick, said, I need you to give me more detailed evidence. Times, locations of their meetups, text messages, everything. Not a problem. We have professional-grade equipment and methods. It won't be cheap, though. Money isn't the issue, I said. I just want results. Rick nodded. I'll have something for you within a week. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. I didn't just want ironclad proof of their affair. I wanted them to pay. Mark wanted my wife, and Sophia wanted to betray me. They were about to find out there were consequences. This game was just getting started. Rick was more efficient than I'd expected. 3 days later, he handed me a full report. It confirmed Sophia and Mark had been seeing each other for at least 8 months. They met up whenever I was working late, and had been to over a dozen different hotels. The part that sent a hot poker of rage through me was that they had even been together on our wedding anniversary. I'd had to cancel our dinner plans that night for an urgent project, and I had felt guilty about it for weeks. Now I knew she hadn't cared at all. My guilt was a joke. Rick had also recovered their text messages. Reading their intimate exchanges, my heart turned to ice. Mark, Soph, I only feel alive when I'm with you. Sophia, me too. If it weren't for Leo, we'd have been together a long time ago. Mark, let's just tell him. I can't stand sneaking around like this. Sophia, just wait a little longer. I need more time. Leo is too good to me. I don't want to hurt him. Mark, don't want to hurt him? Then why are you with me? Sophia, because I truly love you. But Leo is still my husband, and he makes more money than you. Leaving him right now wouldn't be smart. Reading that last text, I nearly threw my phone against the wall. To her, I was nothing but an ATM, a source of financial security. She wasn't afraid of hurting me. She was afraid of losing my money. And her feelings for Mark were apparently deeper than anything she'd ever felt for me, her husband. In that moment, the last shred of affection I had for her vanished completely. You want to be pragmatic? Fine. I'll show you just how cruel pragmatism can be. That night, Sophia went through her usual routine, asking how my day was if I was tired. I looked at her fake, concerned expression and felt sick. Honey, we've been married for 3 years. How do you think we're doing? I asked out of the blue. She was taken aback. We're doing great. Why are you suddenly asking that? I don't know. It just feels like we talk less and less these days. It worries me. It's probably just because we're both busy with work, she said, her eyes shifting away from mine. Is that it? What have you been so busy with lately? Just, you know, the usual stuff. Like what specifically? I pressed. Sophia was getting nervous. Nothing specific. Groceries, cooking, cleaning the house. Oh, sounds tough. By the way, have you been talking to Mark much? He seems pretty concerned about you. No, not really. Just about work sometimes. Good, I nodded. To be honest, I've always felt the way he looks at you is a little off. Her face went ashen. What do you mean? It just feels like he has a thing for you. But I trust you. You never do anything to hurt me, right? Of course not, she stammered. I reached out and took her hand. Good. I'd hate for someone to come between us. Her hand was trembling in mine. I knew she was terrified, scared that I'd discovered something. But she had no idea just how much evidence I already had. Over the next few days, I launched the second phase of my plan. I started spreading rumors at the office that Mark's performance was slipping, that he seemed to have personal problems affecting his work. As his direct supervisor, I had an obligation to check in. Mark, what's going on lately? You seem completely out of it. It's nothing, Leo. Trouble at home? If you need anything, just let me know. He grew more and more anxious, certain I was testing him. Really, it's nothing. Just a lot of pressure at work. Well, in that case, how about I assign you to a lighter project? Give you some time to get your head straight. In reality, I assigned him a critical project with an impossible deadline. When he failed to deliver, I'd have a legitimate reason to reassign him, or even fire him. This was my strategy. Let him fail professionally, then deal with him accordingly. At the same time, I shored up my finances. I transferred the bulk of my savings to my mother's account and moved other assets into a trust under the guise of a long-term investment. This was to protect my money during the divorce. Sophia betrayed me. She wasn't getting a dime. A week later, Rick delivered more evidence. This time, it included security footage of them entering a hotel room, candid photos of them on a date, and even more text messages. It was more than enough to win any court case. But I wasn't ready to drop the bomb just yet. I wanted them to experience the same feeling of being played for a fool. After all, they'd been playing me for months. This game was only halfway through. The real climax was yet to come. I decided it was time to set a trap. On Friday afternoon, I casually told Sophia, "Honey, I have to go on a business trip tomorrow. I'll be gone for 2 days back Sunday night." Her eyes lit up for a split second before she masked it. "Oh, a business trip? Well, be safe." "I will. Take care of yourself while I'm gone." "I will," she said. I knew she was already mentally planning her weekend with Mark. What she didn't know was that I had no business trip. The next morning, I left the house with a suitcase, which I promptly dropped off at a friend's place before checking into a hotel near our apartment complex. Around noon, I got a text from Rick. "Target is on the move. Johnson's car just entered your complex." Everything was going according to plan. At 2 p.m., another update. They've left the apartment, heading to the Cherry Creek Shopping Center. 3 p.m., they're shopping. He's buying her clothes and jewelry. 4 p.m., they've checked into the Hyatt Regency, room 1208. With each text, the fire in my gut burned hotter. Mark was using company funds, I was sure of it, to buy my wife gifts and take her to a hotel. This was a dual betrayal, against me and against the firm. At 7 p.m., Rick sent me a photo of them having dinner at the hotel restaurant. Sophia was wearing a new dress Mark had just bought her, a blissful smile on her face. I'd never seen her look so happy. So this was what she was capable of, a joy she never shared with me. 8 p.m., Rick texted, "They're back in the room." I knew what would happen next, and I didn't need to see the disgusting details. The knowledge was enough. That night, I sent Sophia a text. "Hey babe, just got to the hotel. It was a long day of meetings. I'm exhausted, heading to bed early." 10 minutes later, she replied, "Okay, honey, you get some rest too." The hypocrisy was astounding. She was in a hotel room with another man, playing the part of the loving wife. The next day, Sunday, I stayed in my hotel room, waiting for Rick's updates. 10 a.m., they're up, having breakfast in the hotel restaurant. Noon, they went to an amusement park. They looked like a couple in love. Afternoon, walking in the park, Johnson bought her a bouquet of flowers. Every message was another twist of the knife. Out there, they were playing the part of a romantic couple, while I, her husband, was the fool. No, not anymore. My eyes were wide open. At 6 p.m., I got the final update. Johnson just dropped her off at home and left. It was time. I packed my things and prepared to go home and face my deceitful wife. At 7:30, I walked in, dragging my suitcase behind me. Sophia was in the kitchen. She saw me and immediately put on a bright smile. "Honey, you're back. Are you exhausted?" "It was okay. Just a lot of meetings," I said, feigning weariness. "I'm making your favorite pot roast. Go relax for a bit. I watched her bustling around the kitchen and sneered internally. Yesterday, she was on a date with another man. Today, she was playing the dutiful wife. Her acting skills were truly impressive. So, what did you do this weekend? I asked casually. Oh, nothing special. Just watch some TV, clean the house. You didn't go out. Sophia paused for a beat. Just to the grocery store. Oh, that's good, I nodded. I was worried you'd be bored all by yourself. Nope, I'm used to it. Used to it? Used to cheating on me. Or used to lying to my face. During dinner, I noticed a new jewelry box sitting in her purse. What's this? I asked, pointing to it. Her face went pale. It's a necklace I bought. When did you get it? A few days ago. I was just passing by the mall. Looks expensive. That brand isn't cheap. It was on sale. I opened the box. Inside was a diamond necklace that had to be worth at least $3,000. There was no way Sophia could afford something like this on her own. Really? Because I can see the price tag right here. $3,800. She was completely flustered now. I bought on a payment plan. Wow, you really splurged, I said, closing the box. But it's a beautiful necklace. It really suits you. Sophia managed a weak smile, but I could see the terror in her eyes. She knew I was getting suspicious. What she didn't know was that I already had all the proof I needed. Now, it was time for the final act. Monday at work, I greeted Mark as usual, but I could tell he was a nervous wreck. So, Mark, how was your weekend? I asked with a smile. It was fine, he stammered. Go anywhere fun. His face grew even paler. Nah, just rested at home. That's a shame. Beautiful weather like this. You should have gotten out. I clapped him on the shoulder. By the way, how's that project I assigned you coming along? Still working on it. The deadline is approaching fast, and the client is getting impatient. I'll get it done as soon as I can. I hope so, I said, looking him straight in the eye. You know how strict the company is about performance these days. Mark nodded, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. I knew what he was thinking. He was afraid I knew about him and Sophia, and he was afraid of losing his job. That double-barrel pressure was exactly what I was aiming for. That afternoon, Rick sent me a new piece of intel. Leo, I found something else. Johnson has been embezzling company funds for personal expenses. How much? I texted back. Initial estimate is around 10 grand, mostly for gifts for Miller and hotel stays. This was a gift from the universe. I immediately started digging into Mark's expense reports. As finance director, I had access to all the records, and there was a clear pattern of fraudulent expense claims. Most of the money had been spent on Sophia, jewelry, clothes, and high-end hotels. Now, I had two weapons, proof of the affair and proof of embezzlement. Together, they were enough to completely destroy him. When I got home that night, Sophia was even more attentive than usual. Honey, you look like you're in a good mood today. I am. Made some progress at work. That's great. She poured me a cup of tea. Hey, it's the weekend tomorrow. Do you want to go do something? Go out. I looked at her. Where to? I don't know, just walk around, maybe go to the mall. Sure, that sounds nice. I could use a break. A flash of panic crossed her eyes. I knew she was testing me, to see if I'd actually go with her. You know, honey, I want to buy you a gift. Anything you have in mind. No, I don't need anything, she said, waving her hands dismissively. Of course you do. We've been married this long, and I've never bought you anything really nice. I picked up her new jewelry box. Like this necklace. I should have been the one to buy it for you. Her face turned sheet white. Really, it's fine. This one is perfect, but I want to pick one out for you myself. I opened the box and examined the necklace. This style is very unique. Where did you get it? Just at the mall downtown. Which one? The Cherry Creek Mall. What floor? She was completely cornered. I don't remember. I just saw it while I was browsing. Well, let's go back to the same store tomorrow. I'll buy you another one. No, really, you don't have to. Her reaction was vehement. I knew she couldn't take me there, because that's where Mark had bought it for her. The sales staff might remember them. All right, fine. We'll go somewhere else, I said, pretending to concede. Sophia let out a visible sigh of relief. But she had no idea that Rick had already told me exactly where the necklace came from. And tomorrow, I was going to give her a surprise she would never forget. That night, I sent Rick a text. Tomorrow. We proceed as planned. Everything was in place. It was time to bring the curtain down on this farce. Sophia and Mark thought they were so clever that they could keep me in the dark forever. They had no idea I'd been pulling the strings from the very beginning. Now it was time to close the net. The next morning, Sophia seemed anxious. Honey, you know what? Let's not go out today. I'm feeling a little tired. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? I asked, feigning concern. Just a headache. Then we should definitely go out. Get some fresh air. Staying cooped up inside will only make it worse. She had no choice but to agree. At 10 o'clock, we left the house. I intentionally drove a route that took us right past the Cherry Creek Shopping Center. Hey, let's stop by here, I said. Isn't this where you bought your necklace? Sophia's face went chalky. Let's go somewhere else. Why? You said they have nice things here, didn't you? I pressed. I just want to check out a different place. Just then my phone buzzed. It was Rick. Leo. Johnson just entered the mall. He's at the jeweler on the 3rd floor. Perfect timing. Come on, honey. Let's just take a quick look, I said, grabbing Sophia's hand and pulling her toward the entrance. She tried to pull away, but I held on tight. Leo, we really don't have to go in there. Let's go somewhere else. We're already here. What's the harm in looking? Once inside, I made a beeline for the 3rd floor jewelry store. From a distance, I could see Mark standing at a counter, looking at something. Sophia saw him too, and her face became a mask of pure white terror. Isn't that Mark? I said, pretending to have just noticed. What a coincidence. He's shopping for jewelry too. I dragged Sophia over. Mark, fancy seeing you here. Mark spun around, and the ring he was holding nearly slipped from his fingers. Leo, what are you guys doing here? Just getting my wife a little something, I said with a smile. You shopping for someone special? He stammered. For my sister. It's her birthday. Wow, what a great brother. I glanced at the ring on the counter. That's a beautiful ring. How much is it? The sales associate smiled. Excellent taste, sir. This is our newest diamond ring. It's $6,800. $6,800? I feigned shock. Damn, Mark. You must really love your sister, spending that kind of money on her. Mark's face was as white as a sheet. Just then, the sales associate's eyes lit up with recognition as she looked at Sophia. Ma'am, welcome back. Are you enjoying the necklace your boyfriend bought you last week? The atmosphere in the store instantly froze. Her words were a bomb that detonated right in the middle of us, leaving Sophia and Mark stunned and speechless. I think you must have us confused with someone else, I said calmly. This is my wife. I was with her when she bought a necklace here. The associate frowned, looking back and forth between me, Mark, and Sophia. No, that's not right. It was definitely this gentleman who was with her, she said, pointing at Mark. I remember it clearly. It was a very expensive necklace, and he paid with his credit card. Mark's face was a contorted mess of panic. Sophia couldn't even speak. Is that so? I turned to Mark. Mark, when did you buy my wife a necklace? I didn't. He tried to deny it. Sir, please don't joke, the associate said, pulling up a transaction record on her tablet. See? Here's the record from last week. A necklace for $3,800, charged to your card. The proof was right there. He couldn't deny it. I took the tablet, glanced at the record, and then looked at Sophia. Honey, would you care to explain this? Her lips trembled, but no words came out. Mark, you want to explain why you're buying my wife expensive jewelry? He stared at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. By now, a small crowd of shoppers had gathered, drawn by the drama. I think I get it now, I said with a cold laugh. You two have been screwing around behind my back, haven't you? Leo, please, let me explain. Sophia finally choked out. Explain. I held up the tablet. What is there to explain? My wife is here buying jewelry with my subordinate, on his dime. How exactly do you explain that? Murmurs rippled through the onlookers. Wow, she got caught cheating. The nerve to not even admit it in front of her husband. What a shameless woman. Hearing the whispers, Sophia completely broke down, covering her face and sobbing. Mark moved to comfort her, but I shoved him back. Mark Johnson, are you even a man? You sleep with another man's wife, and when you get caught, you don't even have the guts to admit it. Leo, don't you call me that. I roared. As of right now, you and I are done. The entire store was staring. Sophia's sobs grew louder. Let's go, honey, I said coldly. We'll continue this conversation at home. I pulled Sophia out of the store. Mark started to follow. You stay right there. I pointed a finger at him. Tomorrow morning, I want you in HR, turning in your resignation. Leo, and another thing, I have proof that you've been embezzling company funds. If you don't want to go to jail, you'll resign quietly and pay every cent back. Mark looked like he'd been struck by lightning. He never imagined I knew about that. Leo. Sophia grabbed my arm. I shook her off. Don't touch me. I dragged her out of the mall. On the drive home, she cried the whole way, trying to explain, but I refused to listen. 3 years of marriage, all a lie. It was time for the lie to end. Back at the apartment, I sat on the couch and stared at her, ready to tell the truth now. She just kept crying. You don't want to talk? Fine, I will. I took out my phone and played the voice memo I'd recorded. The sound of her and Mark's intimate conversation filled the room. Sophia collapsed onto the floor. And there's this. I pulled out the photos from Rick. You two at the hotel, on your little date in the park, and all your text messages. Every photo was a slap in the face, leaving her with nowhere to hide. Leo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. She cried. Didn't mean for it to happen? I sneered. For 8 months, you didn't mean for it to happen? Being with him on our anniversary, that was an accident too? She was hysterical now. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Wrong? What good does saying that do now? I stood up, looming over her. Sophia, do you have any idea what my life has been like for the past 3 years? I worked my ass off to give you a better life. I turned down countless dinners and parties just to spend more time with you. And what was my reward? You behind my back with another man, spending my money. She was sobbing too hard to speak. And the best part, I said, shoving my phone in her face, is the text where you said you couldn't leave me because of my money. Look at what you wrote. I'm just an ATM to you. No, Leo, it's not like that. Then what is it like? I roared. Do you love me? Silence. Answer me. Do you love me? She looked down, her voice a barely audible whisper. I don't know. You don't know? We've been married for 3 years, and you don't know if you love me. I thought I did. But after I met Mark again, I realized. Her voice trailed off. You realized what? That the feeling, it was different for how I feel with you. Hearing those words, my heart finally died. She had never loved me. Our marriage was a mistake from the start. Sophia, let's get a divorce, I said, my voice flat. She looked up, her eyes wide with fear. No, Leo, please. Don't. Why not? You don't love me. I can change. I'll never see Mark again. We can start over, please. Start over. I laughed. You think that's possible? It is. If you can just forgive me, we can make it work. Can you forget Mark? Can you forget that feeling you had with him? She didn't answer, and that was all the answer I needed. Sophia, have some basic decency. You made a choice to betray me. Now you have to live with the consequences. Leo, I know I was wrong. I really do. And wrongdoers have to face the music. I went to my office and came back with the divorce papers I had drawn up weeks ago. Here, read it. She took the papers, and when she got to the section on asset division, her face changed. Why? Why do I get nothing? Because you're the at-fault party, I said coldly. In this state, adultery means you forfeit your claim to marital assets. That's impossible. The house is ours and the savings. I bought the house before we were married. It's in my name. As for the savings, I have more than enough evidence of your affair to ensure that, by law, the at-fault spouse is entitled to nothing. She stared at the papers, her hands shaking. This is so cruel. Cruel? I laughed. You cheat on me for 8 months, spending my money on your lover, and you think this is cruel? You thought I should just hand over half of everything I've worked for. She had nothing to say. Sign it, I said, holding out a pen. It's better for everyone this way. Now you'll be free to be with Mark. You got him fired. He has nothing now. That's your problem, not mine. She held the pen, hesitating. She knew that signing the papers meant she would walk away with nothing. But she also knew she had no other choice. The evidence was irrefutable. Her betrayal was out in the open, and there was no chance of forgiveness. After half an hour, she finally signed. Watching her, I felt a complex mix of emotions. 3 years of marriage, over in an instant. But I had no regrets. Betrayal has a price. The divorce was processed quickly. With the mountain of evidence I had, the court sided with me. Sophia left the marriage with nothing but her personal belongings. After being fired, Mark not only lost his job, but also faced legal action for embezzlement. While I ultimately decided not to press charges, his career was effectively over. No reputable company would hire a manager with a record of misappropriating funds. The first month after the divorce, I moved into a new condo. I bought it in my name, and Sophia had never set foot inside. Living alone was a bit quiet, but it was peaceful. No lies, no deception. Sometimes I wondered, if I had never found out, could we have continued that seemingly happy life? But I knew that kind of life was a sham. A marriage built on lies is doomed to crumble. Better to end it early than to let the damage deepen. A month later, my mom came to visit. Son, you did the right thing, she said, patting my shoulder. A woman like that doesn't deserve your love. I don't regret it, Mom. Good. You're still young. You'll find someone who truly loves you. I know. My mom looked around the clean, spacious condo and nodded in satisfaction. This place is much better than the old one. None of that bad energy. She was right. This was my space, a place where no one could betray me. 2 months later, I ran into an old colleague, Kevin. Leo, I heard you got divorced. Yeah. How's? You know. Sophia doing? Don't know, don't care. Kevin hesitated. I heard she and Mark broke up. Oh. The news didn't interest me in the slightest. Mark couldn't find a job, and the pressure got to him. He started taking it out on her, even got physical a few times. She couldn't take it anymore and left. And then, She's been trying to find work, but without any real skills. She's bouncing between waitress jobs. The pay is terrible. She's struggling. Hearing this, I felt no sympathy. This was the price of her choices. Leo, she asked someone to pass a message to you. She wants to see you. No, I said without a second's hesitation. There's nothing left to say. She said it was important. Nothing she has to say is my business anymore. Kevin nodded and dropped the subject. I knew Sophia regretted her actions, but what good was regret now? Some doors, once closed, can never be reopened. The moment she chose to betray me, our story ended. Her current hardship was a direct result of her own decisions. I wouldn't pity her, and I certainly wouldn't help her. 6 months later, a friend introduced me to my now-girlfriend, Chloe. She's a teacher, gentle, kind, and the complete opposite of Sophia. She never throws tantrums, never demands expensive gifts, and would never dream of being deceitful. Most importantly, I can feel her genuine affection for me. It's a sincere love I never once felt from Sophia. With Chloe, I finally understood what true happiness is. It isn't about superficial sweet talk or expensive dates. It's about deep-seated trust and mutual loyalty. A year later, Chloe and I got married. On our wedding day, I saw a familiar figure standing in the distance. Sophia? She was dressed in simple clothes, her face haggard, all of her former radiance gone. Our eyes met for a fraction of a second before she turned and walked away. In that moment, I felt nothing. The past was the past. I had a new life, a new beginning, and she had to live with the consequences of her choices. This is my story, a story of betrayal and retribution. I'm no saint. I can't forgive someone who shattered my trust so completely. But I don't regret my actions, because they led me to true happiness. Some might say I was too harsh, but I believe that mercy for a traitor is cruelty to oneself. Sophia chose betrayal and paid the price. I chose to fight back, and I was given a new life. Now, Chloe and I are building a beautiful life together, one based on trust and loyalty. This is what a marriage should be. As for Sophia and Mark, I don't know or care what became of them. Every adult is responsible for their own choices. 2 years into our marriage, Chloe got pregnant. The day she told me, I was so happy I picked her up and spun her around. Be careful. The baby, she laughed. Right, sorry, I said, gently placing my hand on her still flat stomach. We're going to be parents. The joy of that moment was so real, a world away from the hollow happiness I'd felt with Sophia. During her pregnancy, Chloe had her emotional days, sometimes crying over little things. But she would always apologize afterward. I'm sorry, honey. I know I'm being irrational. I just can't help it. I would hold her and say, don't be silly. It's perfectly normal. Compared to Sophia, even at her most emotional, Chloe was considerate of my feelings. Sophia never apologized for anything. She acted as if the world owed her. The day our child was born, I paced nervously outside the delivery room. When I heard that first cry, tears streamed down my face. This was my child, the fruit of my love with Chloe. It's a girl. The nursing I did every day after work was hold her, bathe her, and rock her to sleep. Chloe often laughed. She's totally got you wrapped around her little finger. Of course. She's one of the most important women in my life, I'd say. Chloe would raise an eyebrow. You're number one. She's a close second. Chloe would nod, satisfied. This life was pure happiness. It was busy but fulfilling. When our daughter turned 1, we moved into a bigger house. While unpacking, I found a box of old photos, including a few of my wedding pictures with Sophia. Looking at the 2 smiling faces, it felt like a dream. We looked so happy then, but it was all a facade. What's that, honey? Chloe asked, coming over. Just some old photos, I told her honestly. She glanced at them, but didn't say anything judgmental. She just asked softly, are you going to keep them? Nope, I said without hesitation, tearing them in half. The past is the past. Chloe nodded and helped me pack other things. She never worried about my past, and that's one of the million reasons I love her. She trusts me, just as I trust her. That's how it should be. When our daughter was 2, I took her to the park. Near the slide, I saw a familiar figure. It was Sophia. She was watching over a little boy who looked to be about 4 or 5. Our eyes met again, and this time, she walked over. Leo, she said, her voice unsteady. Sophia, I replied calmly. Is this your daughter? She's adorable, she said, looking at the little girl in my arms. Yeah, I kept my answer short. I'm remarried now, she said, gesturing to the little boy. This is my husband's son. Congratulations, I said, my tone flat. After a moment of silence, she said, Leo, about everything that happened. I wanted to apologize. Don't. It's over. I know I hurt you, and I regret it every day. Sophia, I cut her off. Everyone has to live with their choices. You have a new life, and I have a new family. Let's just leave the past where it belongs. She nodded, her eyes welling up. Are you happy? She asked. Very happy, I answered without a shred of doubt. It was the truth. That's good, she said, forcing a smile. I should go. I watched her walk away with her stepson, and I felt nothing. The woman who once hurt me so deeply was now just a stranger. Time truly is the best medicine. It had completely healed my wounds. When I got home, Chloe asked how my day was. I ran into an old acquaintance. I said simply, "Oh, did you have a nice chat?" Not much to talk about. We just said hello. Chloe didn't press further. Instead, she picked up our daughter. "Sweetie, did you miss Daddy?" Our daughter babbled in response, reaching for me with her little hands. I took her in my arms, my heart full. This was my life now. Simple, real, and happy. The pain of the past was ancient history. Now, I had something truly worth cherishing, a wife who loved me, a beautiful daughter, and a warm home. That was more than enough. The year our daughter turned 3, my company sent me on a month-long business trip. Before I left, Chloe brought our daughter to see me off at the airport. "Daddy's got to go to work. You be a good girl for Mommy, okay?" I said, kissing my daughter's cheek. "When is Daddy coming back?" she asked in her little voice. "In 1 month. That's so long." She pouted. "Be good, and Daddy will bring you back a present." "Really? I want a Barbie doll." "You got it. A Barbie doll it is." This felt completely different from leaving Sophia. This time, I genuinely didn't want to go. I would miss Chloe, miss my daughter, miss our little home. While I was away, we'd video chat every day. Seeing Chloe and our daughter on the screen filled my heart with longing. "Honey, are you working too hard? Make sure you're taking care of yourself," Chloe would always say. "I'm fine. Just miss you guys." "We miss Daddy too," my daughter would say, leaning into the camera to give the screen a kiss. Every time we hung up, I couldn't help but think back to my trips when I was with Sophia. She would never call me, let alone video chat. When I called her, she was always dismissive, eager to get off the phone. Thinking back now, she was probably busy on a date with Mark. But Chloe reached out every day, sharing little moments from her day with our daughter. That's the difference between love and indifference. The month finally ended. I decided to fly home a day early to surprise them. As I unlocked the front door, I heard Chloe's voice from the kitchen. "Sweetie, Daddy's coming home tomorrow. Should we make his favorite pot roast?" "Yes. I want to help Mommy," my daughter shouted excitedly. Hearing them, my eyes started to water. This was what a home felt like. Warm, real, and full of love. "I'm home," I called out. "Daddy." My daughter was the first to run out, wrapping her arms around my leg. "Honey, you're back early." Chloe came running out of the kitchen. "I wanted to surprise you," I said, scooping up my daughter and pulling Chloe into a one-arm hug. "Surprise worked," my daughter clapped. That night, the 3 of us sat at the dinner table, talking about my trip. It was a simple, ordinary evening, and it felt like absolute bliss. This was the life I had always wanted. When our daughter was 4, we had our second child, a son. Looking at him in his crib, I remembered something Sophia had once asked. "When are we going to have kids?" I had told her, "Let's wait until our relationship is a little more stable." Looking back, I think subconsciously I always knew our foundation was weak, which is why I was hesitant. "What are you thinking about, honey?" Chloe asked me. "Just thinking about how lucky we are," I answered honestly. "We really are," she smiled. "Thank you for giving me this family. I should be the one thanking you." We smiled at each other, our hearts full. Today, the pain of the past is completely gone. The betrayal and hurt feel like a distant nightmare, one that vanished the moment I woke up. I'm grateful that I chose to fight back, to end that sham of a marriage. If I hadn't, I never would have met Chloe, and I wouldn't have the perfect family I have now. So, in a strange way, I have Sophia's betrayal to thank. It taught me what real love is and what true happiness is worth fighting for. Now, I have a wife who truly loves me, 2 wonderful children, a stable career, and a happy home. That's all I've ever wanted. As for Sophia, I don't know or care how her life turned out. Everyone walks their own path. She chose betrayal and had to live with the consequences. I chose a new beginning, and I found a new happiness. That's life. It can be fair and cruel, but it's always full of hope.